Hello, my name is Brandon, and the final presentation for ASB214, it is titled Faith Through the Decades, an interview with a lifelong Catholic, presented by me. So, on the agenda today is starting off with a few couple things. My target religion was Catholicism, so Roman Catholicism. My subject was Patricia McManaman, also known as Nana. And I picked Catholicism because it's one of the world's largest religions, yet it's really heavily influenced by local culture and generational shifts. And a couple of influences of why I wanted to do this topic was because uh, I wanted to use Nana's life experience to bridge the generational gap and hear from someone who has experienced the changes over the decades. Uh, Again, she's a lifelong Catholic, so she has a boatload of experience in the church, outside of the church, following this religion basically to a T her entire life. So that is why I have chosen to use her as my subject. So the methodology I used was I conducted a sit-down interview, and I asked Nana a number of questions. So whether it be questions about the topic at hand or whether we veered off here and there, I pretty much had a notepad and was asking her questions and was writing it down as she was answering them. So yeah, that's how we did our interview. So down to the actual interview. Again, I chose Nana because she is one of the most disciplined Catholics that I know. She's a lifelong practicing Catholic, and her perspective seemed unique and fascinating. Um, Again, she's been going to the church since she was a child, and she continues to go every single Sunday and extra every single week. Um, the chosen aspect that I chose was the evolution of personal faith and prayer in the church over a lifetime. So I wanted to see what that evolution looked like. And again, Nana is, in the nicest way possible, up there in years. So she's experienced a couple years, a couple decades in the church. So she's experienced all the massive changes that have happened, and she's gone through quite a couple popes. So um, yeah, that was the aspect that I chose for it. And I chose this aspect because, again, religion is complex and multifaceted. So, focusing on Nana's specific experience, let me view it from a lived experience rather than just research or just from reading the Bible. So, for the interview, this is Nana. This is what she looks like. It's my girlfriend's grandmother. So we know we know each other a little bit. But again, her background: she was baptized as infant, raised in a traditional Catholic family, raised children in the church, and is now the matriarch of her Catholic family. Right? Nothing goes in the family without passing it along Nana first, which is funny. Again, I believe Nana is the model Catholic, and she has a lot of nuance about the subjects that we're talking about today. So down to the interview. A couple questions that we had were more about her faith and how her experiences changed throughout the years. So a couple questions I started off with was like, how has your way of praying changed from when you were a child to now at your older age? And she was pretty receptive to it. She was talking a lot about how in her youth it was more about learning to pray the right way, or learning how to get those prayers out, which is which makes a lot of sense actually. It's more about like getting the prayer started than about like knowing what you're saying. And now she feels like it's more about what she wants to talk to God about, how she talks about her feelings and everything. It's not so much as like a formal thing, more like an informal thing. And question two was, what is the most significant change you have seen in the church during your life? And we talked a lot about a lot of things actually. We talked a lot about how Catholicism changed its language, how it was originally in Latin. A lot of the stuff was happening in Latin, a lot of the prayers, and then somewhere along, they decided to change to English. So she mentioned that. But one response that also went out to me was the attempts to really be more inclusive in the church, because the Catholics have this little, I don't want to say bias, that they aren't as inclusive as most religions. But yeah, she was talking about how those kind of changes were uh, pretty significant in the church, and how even though it's still not fully implemented, they still take a lot of corrective actions to try to get that implementation in. And for our next questions, one of the ones I was talking about was, how was your faith helped you overcome life's challenges throughout the years? And again, she was really talking about her faith, about how it brings comfort. She's experienced a lot of life throughout these years. So whether it be, the loss of a loved one, whether it be some other of life's lows, it helped her feel accompanied through those struggles. And the church has always been there for her, so that's why she's always there for the church. And another question I asked was, have you had any changes in how you practice your faith now that she has gone to like an older age? And she said no. No, she has not. She still attends every Sunday. She volunteers twice a week at least. She goes to evening service. She does the food pantry there. She does a lot. And she says if she can do it at her ripe age, so should you. A couple things I learned and discovery throughout the whole process of this interview was that Catholicism is not static. It adapts to physical and emotion seasons of the believer's life. So, talking more about outside of the topic that we were tasked at today, we talked a lot about grief, the good and bad about Catholicism, a lot of stereotypes that they get, a lot of negative press, and a lot of just a lot of things that she felt were unjust about Catholicism. And we talked a lot about how the church handles that, and whether or not they do a good job at it, or if they kind of just not react to it at all. We talked a lot about how the church has and has not done things that are beneficial to it. That was kind of when she veered off the topic, but it was still a fun conversation regardless. And a couple things that stood out to me was that Nana kind of lacks fear for the future, which is interesting to me. She's very content with death. She constantly jokes about it, constantly talks about her funeral, this, that, and the third, right? But she doesn't fear it like she used to, and I believe a lot of that has contributed to her faith. We talked about like the loved ones that she lost, and how, again, Catholicism has been there for her, and how she's found a sort of peace with it through her faith, and that was very interesting for me. So in conclusion, this project highlighted that religion is not really just a set of rules, but a very deeply personal, ever evolving, lifelong companion. Interviewing someone who has had religion in their life really showed me that even if the church structures change, the human desire for connection and community persists. Thank you so much.